It is time for round 3 in the NLCS against Atlanta. They've beaten us 2 seasons in a row, and we're out for revenge. In the last episode, we wrapped up the NLDS, sweeping the Dodgers, finishing this season 15-1 against them. We swept them on the road in a 4-game set back in April. We took 2 of 3 in May, scoring 14 runs in each of our wins. And then we went 6-0 in August. That brings us to this postseason series where we picked up right where we left off from the regular season. In Game 2, we won 7-2. It wasn't a pretty start, but the offense scored 5 runs in the 7th inning. We had a pretty good start out of Kyle Harrison, who was dominating through the first few innings before kind of slowing down in the 5th. But much like Game 1, the difference in bullpen was noticeable between both of these teams. And then Game 3, on the road, we win 5-2. A not-so-great first inning for Fernando Molina, but the rest of the pitching staff combined for 8 scoreless innings afterwards. And our bullpen, through these 3 games, ended up throwing 14 scoreless innings. The Dodgers bullpen obviously was not so successful. So that brings us here to the NLCS, where we have now made it 3 years in a row. The commonality with each of those 3 seasons is that we've played against the Atlanta Braves. Us and Atlanta have been the top 2 seeds for 3 years in a row, and we've just so happened to make it to the NLCS in all of those seasons. Now, of course, the Braves beat us in the NLCS in year number 3, en route to winning the World Series. And then they beat us last year, en route to losing the World Series. So we're looking for revenge, and we're hoping 3rd time's the charm, and we will be getting some reinforcements with Leody Taveras, who's been injured since August. He's no longer hurt, he's off the injured list, and he is now on the postseason roster, and we'll be taking off Luis Toribio. He did not play in any of the 3 NLDS games, so I don't really see much of a need for him. Let's take a look at Atlanta, whose NLDS series was a lot more rockier than ours was with the Dodgers. They trailed against Milwaukee 2-1, including Game 3, where they lost 18-1. I thought the series for them was over by then, but they managed to win 2 games in a row to come back and get the job done. They'll be without Michael Harris in this series, but otherwise they're fully healthy, and obviously we're not as lucky on the injury side. So even though they'll be without Harris, everybody else is good to go. They've obviously got a lot of star power with Ronald Acuna. Austin Riley, who hit, 6 home runs in the NLCS against us last year, including the walk-off to send the Braves to the World Series. And of course, in the offseason, they've added Gunnar Henderson. They've added Ozzie Albies back from injury. They've added Matt Olson back from injury. They added Teoscar Hernandez. They signed Shane Bieber, who ended up winning the National League MVP. And then this year at the trade deadline for their potentially finishing touch, they traded for Emmanuel Clase from the Guardians. Now, this team has a lot of free agents this upcoming offseason. They're not going to be able to pay all these guys, and I kind of feel like this is the last season we'll see of this Braves core. They've beaten us in the postseason twice. We can't let it happen again, right? I kind of feel like this is the year that we have to win it as well, because our core is getting older. We've got a lot of guys who are not going to be under contract after these next couple of years. And given how good our team was this season, winning 107 games in the regular season, plowing through the Dodgers pretty stress-free in the NLDS, everything is lining up for this to be our year where we win the World Series. Unlike the last 2 seasons against Atlanta, they had the better record through the regular season. They had home field advantage. That's not the case this time around. They only won 100 games, whereas we won 107, the best mark in Major League Baseball. So with that, we begin our journey for revenge. We're not letting them beat us 3 years in a row. It is worth noting that with Leody Taveras returning, we are going to have him start. He'll bat 8th, play in center field, rotating with Kyler Rodriguez and Johnny Hackman. We're going to start Sandy Alcantara today. He was on the bump in Game 1 against the Dodgers. Didn't go very well. 4 innings, allowed a lot of hits, 3 homers. We won the game, but not because of him. The bullpen threw 5 scoreless innings the rest of the way. Obviously, Sandy does not have a good postseason track record, and we're hoping maybe he can, flip the narrative a little bit as Gunnar Henderson chases the circle change. That's a good way to start, getting him to fish on that pitch well outside the strike zone. Christian Arroyo now 2-2, goes down on the slider. That pitch as well was a little bit out of the zone, and Sandy gets him to bite. Now facing off against the former National League MVP, Ronald Acuna. Count is even, 2-2, and he goes down on the high slider. That's how you get things started, Sandy. Strikes out the side. All three batters go down swinging, and they all whiff at pitches that would have been balls. Excellent location on all three of those from Sandy Alcantara. As we take a look at Shane Bieber, two-time Cy Young winner, National League MVP this year. He's pitched in 2 postseason games where he's been pretty solid for the most part, getting wins in each of them. As Jung-Hoo Lee hits it up the middle, and that goes for a base hit. Lee hit .571 across the 3 games against the Dodgers. He was unstoppable, and this is a pretty good start that he's going to keep it going. That'll bring up Ian Happ now. He finds himself behind 1-2. And he goes down looking on the inside circle change. That pitch looked like it was out of the zone, a little bit inside. Should have been a ball, but he does not get the call. Munetaka Murakami now skies this one high into right center. That's not going to have enough carry, and that one should be caught by Jose Azocar. Murakami had a rough NLDS against the Dodgers, going just 1 of 10. But luckily, we have so many other guys in this lineup who have been able to step up. Even when statistically our best hitter, Murakami finishing in second for the MVP, isn't able to produce, we have a lot of other guys who can carry the load. Pause. Austin Riley skies this one into left. My flashbacks came back from last year's NLCS where he was crushing balls left and right. This time it stays in the ballpark, but barely, as Jung-Hoo Lee is able to make the grab. 1-2 for Ozzie Albies. He nearly gets plunked. If you remember back in the offseason, we targeted Ozzie Albies in free agency, but before we had a chance to sign him, the Braves gave him a long-term extension as he goes down on the 12-6 curve. And I get that Sandy Alcantara has this dark cloud over him of his past postseason failures. He's only thrown 2 innings today, but man, he looks pretty good. He has striking out 4 batters, all 4 of them swinging at really bad pitches, or at least pitches that would be really hard to hit, as we go to the bottom of the second. Stone Garrett checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. Garrett, like Murakami, really did not perform all that well against the Dodgers. We're hoping he can do a little better here. Blake Sabol now, 1-1. Lines this one into left center. That's going for extra bases. Sabol played really well in the NLCS last year against Atlanta. Of course, J.P. Crawford did as well, and we're not going to see him the entirety of the NLCS. He won't be eligible to come off the injured list until afterwards. So Sabol gets a double. He moves over to third, and that brings up Leody Taveras. Up the middle, base hit. Run scores. Welcome back to the lineup, Leody Taveras. His first postseason at bat as a Giant is a pretty good one, as he brings home Sabol, and it's 1-0. Brendan Donovan now. Taveras goes for second. The throw is in time. Sean Murphy behind the plate guns him down, but not before Taveras is able to bring home a run, and San Francisco strikes first as that brings us into the third. Matt Olson did not play in the NLCS last year due to an injury. He draws a walk. First base runner of the game for Atlanta. We'll see if they can do any damage with him, as that brings up the catcher Sean Murphy, who just threw out Taveras. This one is hit well into right. Garrett at the track, at the wall, makes the catch! What a grab by Stone Garrett. He had to turn his body right at the end. Looks like a wide receiver. As that brings us back to the top of the order, Gunnar Henderson, who does not have a lot of prior postseason experience. The Orioles never really got there too much in this series, as he goes down looking on the circle change. Gunnar Henderson, a very accomplished high school player. For those of you who want more information, type in Gunnar Henderson High School. You're going to be really surprised at what you see. Anyway, bottom of the third inning. If you know, you know. Here's Tommy Rogers, sends this one down the line. Riley blocks it with his glove. Throw to first is not in time. An infield single for Tommy Rogers, showing off the speed. And as we know, when he's on base, he's a major threat to run. Sean Murphy's going to have to watch out. Jung-Hoo Lee is up here with one away. Rogers will go for second, and the throw is not in time. I thought Murphy got a good jump on that one, but it was a little bit offline. And obviously good execution by Tommy Rogers, who is now in scoring position. Full count here for Jung-Hoo Lee, and he will draw a walk, so the stolen base by Rogers doesn't really end up mattering that much. But nonetheless, there are now runners on first and second, and a chance for the Giants to really build an early lead here. with Ian Happ up to the plate. Middle of the lineup gets a huge chance to break this game open. It won't be Happ. He goes down on the high heat for the second out of the inning. And now Munetaka Murakami has a huge at-bat. He hasn't looked like himself so far in the postseason, but it's a small sample size. What can he do here? That's a big take. It looks like it might have hit the edge of the strike zone. Murakami might have just dodged a bullet. Nonetheless, got to give him some credit for the discipline. Full count, up the middle, base hit. That should score Rogers, and it's 2-0. I will admit the Braves got kind of screwed there. Murakami should have struck out looking. The umpire made a bad call, but we're able to take advantage of that as Murakami brings home the run. First and third, 2 away. Garrett draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. Shane Bieber does not look like his MVP self right now. Over 30 pitches in this inning alone. Blake Sabol, one of the most clutch players on the roster with the bases loaded, lines out to left. Yeah, that was always a recipe for disaster, knowing this team. But hey, we score another run with the single by Murakami. 2-0 lead going into the fourth. Ronald Acuna with 1 away hits it hard past the diving glove of Brendan Donovan for a single into center. Acuna's pretty fast, and he's a very prolific base stealer. Maybe not as fast as Rogers is, though. We'll see if they can look to drive him in. It's Austin Riley on the ground. This should be 2. Happ to Donovan to Murakami. Double play! Inning over. 4 scoreless frames for Sandy Alcantara. Make sure that the apology is as loud as the disrespect. In the bottom half of the frame, Leody Taveras goes down on the low cutter. That was not your pitch, buddy. Full count now for Brendan Donovan. Had a pretty good series against the Dodgers after struggling in last year's postseason. He goes down looking on the cutter. Much better inning for Shane Bieber. All aboard the Shane train. Bieber fever. Alive and well, not really. He's allowed a couple of runs so far. But in that inning, it was certainly alive as we move into the fifth. O'Neal Cruz leads things off for Atlanta. Of course, they acquired him during the trade deadline a couple years ago. Was pretty good in the NLCS a season ago. Hits that one up the middle for a base hit. It seems like Atlanta is starting to hit the ball a little bit better off of Sandy Alcantara. It still hasn't been great. Certainly not as good as they did last year. But over the last couple of innings, they've been able to get something together. They've been able to start piling some base runners. They need somebody, though, to break this game open with an extra base hit or something. Will it be Ozzie Albies? No! He goes down on the 12-6 curve. Nice pitch by Alcantara, whose pitch count is starting to rise a little bit as it sits at 79. His 80th pitch is launched into right! Olsen over the wall, into the cove. Atlanta ties it at 2. Matt Olson with his 3rd home run of the postseason, and it is an entirely new ball game. I don't even think we should really blame Sandy Alcantara there. The pitch was about 3 inches shy of the strike zone. It was an unhittable pitch practically, but Olsen just happened to completely crush it. Jose Azocar now, 1-2, pops it up into right. Garrett is under it. He should make the play, but not before the Braves tie it at 2 with the home run by Matt Olson, who was really good in the NLCS against us a couple years ago. Of course, he didn't play last year. He was hurt, and I've got to say, I certainly did not miss him. Ian Happ checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. Bieber gets through the 5th. Another 1-2-3 inning. He's looking a lot better than he did earlier in the game, but with his pitch count getting high, I don't know how much longer the Braves are going to keep him in. Sandy Alcantara will stay in for the Giants as Gunnar Henderson bloops it into right. That goes for a hit. Again, not a bad pitch by Sandy. It was the outside fastball, not in the strike zone, and he bloops it for a base hit. That'll bring up Ronald Acuna now. Henderson goes for second. Acuna swinging a miss. That's a strikeout, but the throw from Sabol to second base is offline. So Gunnar Henderson swipes second. He's now in scoring position, and a huge opportunity here for Austin Riley, who was so good against the Giants last year, but has been quiet today, 0 for 2. This one is up the middle, though. It goes for a single. That should score the runner, Gunnar Henderson. A quick throw by Taveras, but Atlanta leads at 3-2 with an RBI single by Austin Riley. And this is where we're going to take Sandy Alcantara out of the game. Could have been better. Could have been a lot worse, though. He was really good through the first 4 innings. I don't think he's entirely to blame for the Matt Olson home run because it was very clearly not a strike. And then he just kind of fell off a little bit late here, allowing a few more base runners, allowing the base hit by Riley to bring home the runner. 5 2/3 innings, allowing 3 earned runs, at least so far, with Felix Bautista coming in to replace him, trying to get us out of this jam against Oneil Cruz. Oh, that one nearly hits him! Gets by Sable. Riley goes for second. He's safe. And now Austin Riley's in scoring position. Hold on. The Braves have a chance to add to the lead. 3-2 for Cruz. Swing and a miss! 101 from Felix Bautista, pumping gas. He gets out of the inning. Braves take the lead, though, with the RBI single by Riley. Bottom 6, Stone Garrett up the middle, gets by Albies for a single. Shane Bieber still in the game. I'm a little bit surprised by it, but I think it's the right call. You got to trust your MVP pitcher, who hasn't allowed a base runner from the 3rd inning until now. Nonetheless, a runner is on first. His 110th pitch of the game for Blake Sable. This one is hit well into right center field. Azokar into Triples Alley makes the catch. That's a home run at many other parks, but not here in San Francisco. Atlanta, seeing how well Sable hit the ball there, is a little bit alarmed. And with Shane Bieber at 110 pitches, they're going to take him out here. A pretty strong game from Bieber overall. And I got to give him credit because he really played well after his slow start through the first few innings. Did he look like an MVP or a Cy Young? No, probably not. But he still had a pretty good game overall and was able to adjust throughout the game. Cade Cooler out of the bullpen for Atlanta. The Braves have a much better bullpen than the Dodgers do. Do not let his 67.5 postseason ERA fool you. It's not going to be as easy for us to score a bunch of runs. Or is it? Jose Ramirez rips it in the gap. That one's going to go for a base hit. We're going to keep the runner at third. He would have been out by a mile. But wow, runners on the corners, 2 away. We're going to sub out Leody Taveras. It's his first game in a month. I don't want to put too much on his plate. And I've always felt like Kyler Rodriguez is really good in situations as a pinch hitter off the bench. 2-1 for Kyler. He's able to take that one for ball 3 and is ahead in the count. A walk is certainly fine. We'll gladly take that. 3-1 here for Rodriguez. He's ahead in the count looking for something good. Skies this one into the gap in left center field, and it is caught. If Jose Azokar wasn't so fast, we would have the lead. But with Azokar's speed, he's able to range under it, and Atlanta still ahead, 3-2 as we move into the 7th. The Mountain, Felix Bautista, will remain in the game, and for the Braves batters due up, that is bad news. Ozzie Albies strikes out on the 101-mile-an-hour fastball. In the very limited time I've gotten to pitch with Bautista, I've got to say it's been a blast. Maybe not here, though. Murphy into right, off the wall. Bounces directly into Garrett's glove. He plays the ball perfectly to where Murphy's only able to turn that into a single. Good defense, but a really nice swing from Sean Murphy. He's aboard with 2 away for Jose Azokar with a full count, who chases the slider. Not the guy you want to walk because he's not a great hitter, but he's a great base runner. And that would have been ball 4 had he let it go. But Felix Bautista gets him to bite. Bottom 7, 3-2 ball game. Cooler still on the mound as he strikes out Brendan Donovan on the fastball to get things started. Back to the top of the order. This could be their last chance to have an opportunity to potentially tie the game! Tommy Rogers with a breaking ball that he crushes into left, and we're knotted up at 3. Tommy Rogers excels at hitting breaking balls, and if you're going to give him a pitch up and away in the middle of the strike zone, he will make you pay. Tommy with his 2nd consecutive game with a homer. He's the first Giant in this year's playoff with multiple home runs, and unlike the long ball in Game 3 against the Dodgers, that one was a no-doubter. That got over the fence with ease. As soon as it hit the bat, everybody here at Oracle Park, including Tommy Rogers, knew that ball was gone. So he has broken this game open for the Giants, and we are tied at 3. 412 feet, exit velo, a little bit shy of 107. Cooler's able to get through the rest of the innings so far. We'll see what he does against Happ, who strikes out again. I think he has struck out 3 times today, clearly frustrated with himself. That's a hat trick. But Tommy Rogers ties it with the home run, and that brings us into the 8th. We're going to go to the back end bullpen of death We started with Bautista. Now we've got JoJo Romero since he might face off against a couple of lefties. And I think regardless if it's tied, we're winning, or we're losing, it probably will be Camilo Doval for the 9th. So it's the top of the order due up here for Atlanta. With 2 away, it's Christian Arroyo. Full count pitch on its way, and it goes for strike 3. Arroyo at the 2 spot in their order seems like kind of an eyesore, but I feel like every year when we play the Braves, they always have some random utility journeyman like Arroyo or Zach McKinstry, somebody like that who torches us. Acuna, swinging a miss on the fastball. JoJo Romero retires the side. It remains tied at 3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Our offense had some big spurts late in games in the NLDS against the Dodgers. 5 runs in the 8th inning of Game 1. 5 runs in the 7th inning of Game 2. Can we do it again? Cooler's still in the game as Murakami bloops it into right, and it is caught. Again, if Jose Azocar is not out there in center, that's probably a base hit. But with his speed, he's able to make the play. 2 gone, full count. Blake Sabol got him looking on the slider. Cade Cooler, 1-2-3, retires the side. And that'll bring us into the 9th. As I said, if we're winning, if we're losing, or it's tied, we're going to bring in Camilo Doval. We only needed him once, Game 3 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. So he's pretty well rested for the most part. And even though his regular season was inconsistent, I feel pretty confident with him. Riley crushes it into left! And Atlanta is back ahead! A leadoff home run for Austin Riley. Giants fans are getting vivid flashbacks now of last year's NLCS, where Austin Riley was launching baseballs. He's the one who sent the Braves to the World Series with the walk-off home run in Game 6. And you remember who was pitching? Camilo Doval. Now he lets up a single here to O'Neal Cruz. That ball certainly not hit as well, an exit velo shy of 80. But going back to Riley, I think it's fair to say he kind of owns Camilo Doval at this point. Ozzie Albies swinging a miss at the 98-mile-an-hour cutter. Doval needed that one badly. He's got to get his confidence back, got to get into a groove. Here's Matt Olson, homered back in the 5th. Runner goes. Donovan's covering the base, so because of that, he can't field the ball at short. And the runner's just going to continue to go. Rounding third, heads for home. He's safe, and it's 5-3. Heads up, big brain base running by Atlanta. With Donovan covering second base, there's nobody at shortstop to field that ball. And the runner, O'Neal Cruz, is just able to keep on churning all the way around. I don't think you can really chalk that one up on Doval. I think we just got unlucky there as Azocar hits it down the line. Ramirez makes the throw, and we get through the 9th alive, but hanging on by a thread. Braves score 2. Homer by Riley, and then the RBI single by Matt Olson. So now Emmanuel Clase is in to shut the door. He is a 4-time reliever of the year winner, including 3 of the last 4 years. So, yeah, in other words, he's pretty good. So far, 1 of 1 in save opportunities this postseason. He'll face off against his longtime Cleveland teammate, Jose Ramirez, who goes down looking on the 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Kyler Rodriguez now behind 1-2. Swings at a pitch he shouldn't have. Grounder to second. Albies makes the play. Throw to first is in time for out number 2, and it'll come down to the 9th hitter, Brendan Donovan. 1-2. Skies it into center. Azocar is under it, and the Atlanta Braves win Game 1 here in San Francisco by the final score of 5-3, scoring 2 in the 9th. With the home run by Riley and then the RBI single by Olson. And again, I don't think you can fault Doval for the play by Olson, but even if that never happens, we still lose the game because of the home run let up by Riley. Overall, a pretty exciting game though, nonetheless. Both offenses were mediocre. 9 hits, 1 walk, 5 runs for Atlanta. Pair of homers from Olson and Riley. Those 2 guys scare me a lot. We're going to have to really figure out how to pitch around them, but it's hard because everybody in this lineup is so damn good. 5 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs for Shane Bieber. He was pretty solid. Not his MVP self, but he wasn't bad. And then the bullpen as well did what they needed to. Clase shut the door. Our offense was also pretty mediocre. 2 walks, 8 hits. Rogers with the homer. Nobody else really stood out other than Tommy. Alcantara with a pretty average start. He wasn't bad. he wasn't really good either. And then the bullpen was looking strong until Camilo Doval collapsed in the 9th inning. Doval never really has recovered from allowing the walk-off home run by Riley last year to send them to the World Series, given that he didn't play up to his standard this year. And now against Riley, he does that again. So that's certainly not a good look. I still trust him as our closer and will use him as such. But we're certainly going to be relying on the other guys in the back end of the bullpen. Bautista, Romero, to a lesser extent, John Schreiber. Those guys are really going to have to perform to where we can avoid having Camilo Doval in too many high leverage spots. And now we've got to win game 2. We can absolutely not afford to lose both of these first 2 games at home. We did not get home field advantage the first 2 times we played against Atlanta in the NLCS, and I'm sure that's a big reason why the Braves were ultimately able to win both of those series and go to the World Series. So we need to take advantage and at least take 1 game here at home, because going down 2-0 with 3 games then in Atlanta would be a bad look. Kyle Harrison will get the start. He threw 5 innings in Game 2 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. He was really good the first 4 innings. I think it took him pretty much 4 innings to allow a base runner, and then he fell off kind of quickly. But we still got the job done, of course, and overall he did pitch a pretty good game there. Gunnar Henderson leads things off, strikes out on the slider. The Braves mixing and matching the lineup today as they are facing off against the lefty here. Most notably, we'll get to see Teoscar Hernandez, who really only starts against lefties for them. Jose Azocar slides up to the 2 slot. Why? I don't know, as he goes down on the slurve. I get having him in the lineup for defense, because obviously they're missing that with Michael Harris, but batting him in the 2 slot ahead of Acuna seems kind of silly. As Acuna flies this one into center, Leody Taveras getting the start again over both Kyler Rodriguez and Johnny Hackman is there to make the play. I thought Taveras looked pretty solid in that first game, made some nice defensive plays, had the base hit before we had him pinch hit for. As we take a look at Spencer Strider getting the start for Atlanta, his second postseason outing. His first one was not good. Did not make it out of the first inning, allowing 6 runs. To be fair, the relievers after him didn't do too much better. The Brewers scored 17 runs in 3 innings. But his day's not looking off to a much better start here. Rogers hits it off the wall. That goes for a leadoff double. Thought about going for 3, but with nobody out and how fast Tommy Rogers is, don't risk it. Flex on him, young man, as he finds himself in scoring position for Jun-Hoo Lee, who goes down on the curveball. That was a filthy pitch. As bad as Strider was in that NLDS game against Milwaukee, we know how good he is. He's an ace-caliber pitcher. Ian Happ, however, hits this one in the gap. Right as I'm gassing him up, he lets up another run. Happ is able to make it to second safely. Rogers obviously scores. Talk about setting the tone. An RBI double for Ian Happ here in the bottom of the first inning. And the Giants lead 1-0. Murakami goes down looking on the fastball, still waiting for that big hit out of him. As we are with Stone Garrett. He draws a walk. We need the middle of the order to step up. Hatt, Murakami, and Garrett. So far, Happ and Garrett have done their jobs, both reaching base today. As Sabol skies this one into left. That one is going to be caught. But we do score a run early with the RBI double by Ian Happ. A 1-0 lead, and hopefully we can continue to give some run support to Kyle Harrison, although I am confident he will be able to produce today, given that he is one of the better lefties in the game. Top 2, Austin Riley at the big home run in the 9th inning, goes down on the fastball. That'll bring up Ozzie Albies, hit him from the right side of the plate. He goes down on the slider. It's been a rough postseason for Albies. He's only hitting 130. Maybe it's a good thing we didn't sign him. Matt Olson now up. His postseason's been a little bit better, hitting .450 up to this point, including a really strong Game 1 against the Giants. Grounds it up the middle. The shift proves to be a success as Brendan Donovan makes the play. And that's 3 innings to start for Kyle Harrison. And that's going to bring us into the bottom half of the second inning. Let's see if the offense can really try to get something going early, just like Milwaukee did against Strider. As Taveras hits this one well in the left, and that goes for a hit. So with one away, Leody Taveras is on. 2 postseason games and 2 base hits up to this point for Taveras. That brings us to Brendan Donovan. 0 for 4 in the last game against Atlanta. Strikes out on the fastball. Donovan looked good in this series against the Dodgers, but he struggled in the NLCS last year against these guys. As Rogers puts it on the ground, Albies makes the play. And finally, Strider gets a scoreless postseason inning. Remains 1-0. That'll bring us into the third. We'll see if this is where, at the very least, the Braves can get some base runners. Teoscar Hernandez goes down on the fastball. Nice pitch there by Kyle Harrison, who still hasn't allowed one. That's his 5th strikeout of the game. Harrison is unhittable right now. O'Neal Cruz, 2-2, 2 away, swing and a miss. 9 up, 9 down for Kyle Harrison. This is exactly what he did in the Dodgers game as well. He took a perfect trip his first way through the order. His second trip around the order went a lot worse. Hopefully history will not repeat itself as Jung-Hoo Lee singles into right. Jung-Hoo Lee still has his average above 500 in the postseason. He is an absolute animal, and there is no stopping him, clearly. Murakami pops it behind the plate. It's going to be a tough grab for Murphy, and he will make the snag! A reaching grab for Sean Murphy, and Munetaka Murakami's offensive struggles continue. Stone Garrett walked his last time up, hasn't driven in a run yet this postseason. Oh my God, what a play at third! Riley gets the force out at second. Holy smokes! Showing off the leather at the hot corner. And it remains 1-0 going into the fourth. Strider really settling in. As Gunnar Henderson rips this one into right. There you go. The Braves, in their second trip through the order, start things off with a double. Although that was close. Good throw in right from Jung-Hoo Lee to relay that one in. But Henderson's in scoring position. Nobody out. For Jose Azocar, who singles into right field. That's why they're hitting him second. Gunnar looks to score. Throw is not in time. And the Braves tie it at 1. Who would have thought? Jose Azocar is the one to deliver. And now that brings up Ronald Acuna, who strikes out on the fastball. Kyle Harrison trying to get back into it after that sloppy 5th inning in the last game. He's hoping this inning does not, turn into that as well. But things are not looking strong. Riley singles into center. Azocar makes it to third. Now there's runners on the corners. If this ball is hit well in play, they could score Azocar, but a ground ball also ends the inning. It's on the ground, but it gets by Happ. It's a single, and it's 2-1. We had the infield playing in for the double play. If Happ was in his regular spot, it probably would have been a double play. The strategy does not work, and Atlanta takes the lead. Matt Olson swinging a miss on the circle change. Harrison has to get out of this inning before it gets uglier. This is a huge at-bat upcoming for Teoscar Hernandez. He's behind 1-2. Harrison's doing a good job early as that one nearly hits him. Kyle Harrison is lucky that one was not another inch to the left where it could have hit his knee and would have loaded the bases. Now the count is 2-2 for Teoscar. Swing and a miss on the fastball. Kyle Harrison gets out of the fourth. Braves leave 2 aboard, but they also score 2. They take the lead. Azocar brings home a run, and then the other one is driven in by Ozzie Albies. The offense has got some work to do here in the bottom of the fourth, and I suppose that's a good start. Jose Ramirez singles into center field. Just got to stack some base runners. Don't try to do too much too early. It's still the 4th inning. We're only down by 1. There's no reason to panic yet. That'll bring up Leody Taveras now. And this one is lined into the gap. Should go for extras. 109 off the bat for Taveras. Ramirez rounding third. Looks to score. He's safe. An RBI double for Leody Taveras. And this game is tied at 2. Taveras in his postseason Giants debut is off to a good start. He's 3 for 4 overall. Rogers to short. Henderson quick throw. Gets the out. San Francisco ties the game, though, with the double by Taveras. And all of a sudden, what looked like a pitching duel has now turned into both offenses getting some big hits together, and the score's a lot bigger. I do trust Kyle Harrison to get through another inning or 2. The Braves have a lot of lefties coming up, so I at least want to have him get through these guys, including O'Neal Cruz, who goes down looking. Gunnar Henderson as well, being the other one. Now, Henderson did have a base hit his last time up. We'll see if he can again. Count is full. This one is flown into right. It's got some carry, but I think Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be under that one. He'll make the play, and that'll probably do it for Kyle Harrison. Exact same as the Dodgers game. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. He was really good early and then kind of slipped up late, but still overall had a pretty good game. Bottom 5, Jung-Hoo Lee into the opposite field. That one's going to bounce over the wall for a ground rule double. Jung-Hoo Lee is now 2 for 3 today. He is hitting over 500 in this series against Atlanta. He hit over 500 in the last series against the Dodgers. With one away, Murakami flies it to left. Lee thinks about third, but he will wisely retreat back to second. That's way too much of a risk. A base hit probably scores him anyway. And Stone Garrett won't get that. Sharp grounder to short. Gunnar Henderson makes the play, and that'll wrap up the fifth. Score remains tied at 2. We are officially going to go to the bullpen. It's Yariel Rodriguez, who pitched a little bit in that first game against the Dodgers. We haven't used him since, but I definitely want to utilize him given how good he was throughout the regular season. WHIP barely above 1, ERA at around 1.6. We used all 3 of Bautista, Romero, and Duvall in the first game, so if we can rest 1 or 2 of those guys today, that'd be great. But obviously, if we need them, we're going to use them because it's a pretty darn important game. Rodriguez retires to the side. We'll go bottom 6. Strider's day is done as well. 5 innings, 2 earned runs allowed by him. And he'll be replaced by Dylan Dodd, who pitched in 76 regular season innings and really was not particularly good. 5.92 ERA. And since he's a lefty, we're going to bring in Patrick Bailey off the bench. And this one is hit high in the left at the track. It's caught. This is actually Bailey's first appearance of the entire postseason. We're just not really facing off against any lefties. And we haven't needed him. It's been the Blake Sabol show, and he's done a good job for the most part, so it's worked. Here's Taveras with 2 away. Singles into center field. Leody Taveras is now 3 for 3 in this game. 4 for 5 overall against Atlanta. He has really given us a spark, and he's not known for his offense, but, man, he's hitting the ball well so far. It's been really fun to see. Brendan Donovan now 2-1. Flies it into left. That one should be caught. Another scoreless frame for the Giants. Both teams had their big 4th innings where they got 2 and we got 1, but nothing since. It's anyone's ball game here with 3 innings of regulation at least to go. As Yariel Rodriguez is going to stay in the game at least a little while longer here into the 7th. He'll start with Ozzie Albies. Base hit, drove in a run his last time up, but now he goes down on the fastball for out number 1. That's going to bring up Matt Olson. He's been quiet today coming off his big game 1. As Olson gets that one in front of Donovan, he deflects it. Throw to first, not in time. Infield single for Matt Olson. And so he finds himself on base here with 1 away. We'll see if the back end of the Atlanta order can bring him down. Even with the righty on the mound, Teoscar Hernandez will stay in the game for Atlanta as he goes down on the fastball for out number 2. And that'll bring us to the number 8 hitter, that being the catcher Sean Murphy. 0 for 2 today. Everybody in the stadium on their feet. As this one is lined into left. Rogers will not make the play. It bounces in front of the wall. The runner will hold up at third. Good job by Tommy Rogers to quickly relay that ball in. Otherwise, the run would have scored. So now there's 2 guys on. I trust Yariel Rodriguez, but I think I believe in Felix Bautista a little bit more. He's going to face off here against Oneil Cruz. 3 scoreless postseason innings for Bautista. His strikeout rate is at 60. He's shoving these opposing batters into lockers. But Oneil Cruz is ahead 3-1. Don't want to give him anything too good as he looks at the splitter and the count is now full. 2 outs, 2 on, tied at 2, 3-2 count for Oneil Cruz. It was a chance to break this game, end this series wide open with 1 swing of the bat and 1 base hit. The 3-2, that one is low, and it goes for ball 4. I know Oneil Cruz really wanted to swing the bat there, but he'll take the walk. Bases are loaded for Gunnar Henderson, who as well, 1 swing of the bat, can change the series, but he's behind 1-2 as he whiffs on the low slider. Now Bautista realizes he can dance around the strike zone a little bit against his former Oriole teammate. What's he going to do? High fastball, Gunnar gets a piece of it. And it is fouled. It looks like he swung a little bit late. Count remains 1-2. Will Bautista go back to the fastball or will he look off speed? Got him on the fastball! 100 miles an hour from Felix Bautista. That pitch was low and at his knees. Wasn't the rule in Little League you shouldn't swing if it's at your knees or if it's above your shoulders? Somebody should have taught that to Gunnar Henderson. Bottom 7, Jung-Hoo Lee into the opposite field. Bloops for a hit. Lee is now 3 for 4 today. He thought about 2, but he's going to head back to first. Death, taxes, and opposite field hits for Jung-Hoo Lee. 2 of his 3 hits today have been down the line and left. So he's at first, 1 away. Ian Happ is 1 for 3 today. As this one is down the line, and it'll go for a base hit. Now there's 2 runners on base and 1 out. And this seems like a great opportunity now for the Giants to potentially take the lead. It looked like Atlanta was going to get their chance in the top half of the frame. Now it might be San Francisco. 1-2, Murakami swings at the slider in the dirt. Yeah, he's clearly off. I don't get what the deal with Murakami is. His approach just looks horrible. Here's Garrett, lines it into right, and it's caught. So the Braves leave the bases loaded. We leave 2 more runners on, and this game is tied at 2 going into the 8th. You guys might want to get comfortable. Grab a snack, grab some food, because we are in for these final 2 innings. Acuna swings at the splitter in the dirt. What a pitch by Felix Bautista, who is still unhittable. Austin Riley, 1-1. He actually hit the ball, give him credit. Ground out to short. Donovan makes the throw. 4 up, 4 down from Felix Bautista. The Mountain gets through another inning plus pretty easily. Into the bottom of the 8th, the Braves are going to now start to use the back end of their bullpen. Penn Murphy, the 2026 reliever of the year, is in. Pat Bailey would be the first guy up here, but I don't really want him hitting against a righty. So we're going to bring in pinch hitter Kyler Rodriguez, who draws a walk. If you remember, we added a 3rd catcher, JT Realmuto, to our postseason roster so we can have more flexibility for situations like this. Rogers is on base. Jose Ramirez now swinging a miss on the slurve, and he is not pleased with himself. 1 away, big strikeout. Remember, Murphy's off-speed pitches are nasty. Here's Taveras, 2-2. Got him looking. The slurve again. Taveras was 3 for 3 before that one. And now a huge at-bat upcoming for Brendan Donovan, looking to keep the inning alive. Rodriguez goes for second. He's safe. The throw is high, and Kyler times that one up perfectly. So he's now in scoring position, and a base hit from Brendan Donovan, who's got a really high clutch rating, would put us ahead. 3-1. Draws a walk. Not an easy pitch to lay off. So again, the stolen base really doesn't matter. But now there's runners on first and second. Back to the top of the order. 3-2 for Tommy Rogers, and he draws a walk. The bases are loaded. Good at bat for Tommy. He was patient. He waited for the right pitch, and he didn't get one. And luckily for him, he didn't force it. And guess who's now up at the plate? It's Jun-Hoo Lee. 3 for 4, a double, and 2 singles. There's no guy we would rather up right now than Jun-Hoo Lee. He has been dominant over these 5 playoff games. 1-1 on its way. Swinging a miss on the high fastball. Jun-Hoo Lee wants to be aggressive early in the at-bat. So if I'm Murphy, I'm looking to get something outside the zone, try to make him chase. 1-2 now. Gets a hanging pitch, and he fouls it off. 77-mile-an-hour slurve, pretty much down the heart of the plate. He swung a little bit too early, though. He got antsy and aggressive. Count remains 1-2 for Lee. This one is down the line, and it's fair! Giants take the lead. They'll look to score 2. Runner is safe at third. That's Rogers. The other 2 safe at the plate. Jun-Hoo Lee comes up clutch. And the Giants lead 4-2. Lee is 4 for 5 in this game. His last 4 at-bats have resulted in base hits. None bigger than that one. Murphy's out of the game. He'll be replaced by Yohan Ramirez, who's led up 5 runs in 4 postseason innings so far, and he's in a jam. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. Ian Happ has a chance to blow this game up, and he puts it on the ground to second. Albies makes the play. Could this be a wasted opportunity? We did allow 2 runs in the 9th inning of the last game. It's not inexcusable the Braves come back, but we got to feel really good about this inning. We're able to take the lead with a 2-run single by Lee. So it will not be Camilo Duvall who comes in the game. It'll be Jojo Romero. It has nothing to do with Duvall's Game 1 performance, though. For one thing, Romero was loose. He was ready to go. And the Braves have a couple lefties due up, including Matt Olson, who's hitting second. So I figured I would rather have a lefty-on-lefty matchup with Romero and Olson. Ozzie Albies goes down on the cutter. There's 1. That'll bring up Matt Olson. The whole reason why we're pitching Romero in this inning is because of this matchup. We don't want Olson to make a big play. 2-2. Flies it up into the shallow outfield. Edwin Arroyo, who has entered the game as a defensive substitution, will make the play. The one downside of having Jojo Romero pitch here is that lefty masher Teoscar Hernandez will face him. But we trust Jojo Romero to finish off the job here. He's almost, if not better, Then Camilo Doval's, that pitch is just outside the strike zone for Hernandez. 2-2. Again, another close one. Teoscar's being a little gutsy letting these pitches go considering the game is down to the final strike, but clearly he's been correct in not swinging. And if he's aboard, the tying run would be up. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss on the cutter. Obviously that would have gone for ball 4, but Jojo Romero baits him into swinging at it. And the Giants tie this series up at 1, winning this game 4-2, headlined by a 4-hit performance by Jung-Hoo Lee, who came up big in the 8th with a 2-run single to help us win. What a postseason it has been for Jung-Hoo Lee. Through these 5 games, he is nearly a full point of WAR. That leads all of Major League Baseball. No major surprise. Kyle Harrison and Spencer Strider with nearly identical stat lines, at least in terms of innings and runs allowed. Harrison allowed less hits and struck out more batters, but overall both guys were pretty even. The difference, our bullpen was phenomenal the final 4 innings. The Braves bullpen was good up until the 8th, where it got away from them. Now, even though this game was tied for a while, I do feel like our offense outplayed them quite a bit. They only got 7 base runners in this game, 6 hits, 1 walk. Our pitching staff did a really good job of not letting them reach. Our offense, meanwhile, got a lot of base runners. 11 hits and 4 walks. 4 hits for Lee, 3 for Taveras. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the team combined only had 4 hits, which is kind of a problem. But again, we still won the game. Now, we did struggle with runners on base prior to the 8th inning, much like some of those matchups against the Dodgers. But again, when the money was on the line, when we needed a big play, our best player was up at the plate, and he made a big play to help us win it and put us right back in the series tied at 1. That sends us into Atlanta for 3 games. We'll have to win at least 1 to keep the series alive. Ideally, I would love to win 2 or even better, maybe all 3. The Rangers lead the Rays 1-0 in the ALCS. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Regardless, though, whoever wins our series would certainly be the favorite against either Texas or Tampa Bay, but all 4 teams left certainly very talented in their own right. That'll wrap up today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.